Couple of car wrecks, but
Yeah.
I imagine we're still gonna do roll call the same way. Cordial.
So we're up and running now. Yep. Live.
I'd like to call our joint board meeting to order. This will be a special meeting, a reorganizational meeting. All rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
I've lost my shoes. Abbott.
Here.
Augenbach.
Here.
Beers.
Here.
Dietz.
Here.
Gelfen.
Here.
Jackson. Here. Malika.
Here.
Reesinger.
Here.
Whitaker.
Here.
Sullivan.
Here. I'd like to let everybody know that we all participated in an executive session held prior to this meeting at the Oklahoma Fire Company. And we spoke with legal counsel on tonight's agenda items. Are there any public comments on agenda items?
Liberty and justice for all.
Public comments on agenda items? Minutes from December 18th, 2024. Looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Reorganization, we need to ratify the co-chairs. I know at the Sandy Township meeting, I was reappointed co-chair. Same here in the city. I would think we need a motion, Ben.
You could do a motion to ratify.
Okay, looking for a motion to ratify.
So move.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Appointment of solicitor. Currently, we have Adam Santucci. I would assume we just want to ratify that as well.
So move. Second.
Properly moved and second. Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I also see that we have rules of order on our agenda. That came from last meeting's discussion. Instead of following Robert's Rules of Order for our suggested parliamentary procedure, we will use Rosenberg's rules for parliamentary procedures. I suppose we should vote on that as well. All those in favor of using Rosenberg rules for parliamentary procedure?
Aye.
Aye.
Who moved it?
I'll
make that motion.
Motion by Pat, second by Dick, that we use Rosenberg rules for parliamentary.
Aye.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, this gets into our special meeting purpose, amendment to the consolidation agreement. Guess we'll start with a request to clarify the election of mayor and adjust deliverable deadlines. Ben, I'm gonna ask you to speak on these items.
I have prepared a memo to explain the recommendations that Attorney Santucci and I have are recommending to the joint consolidation agreement. And what I'm ultimately asking for is a motion to approve the second amended consolidation agreement, which I handed out copies to you in advance of this meeting, and for the public's purpose, it's also, it should be on the agenda online for their review, but I'm going to just tell you all of the changes that are substantive. I'm skipping the things like, it said, the previous agreement said things like exited city rather than existing city, or T1EM rather than time, or something like that. The simple spelling errors and grammar we just redlined and fixed. But these are the substantive changes that we are recommending. First, in section 12C, it states that the municipalities will have a consultant recommend a tax structure and budget for the new city, and that it would be prepared by February 1st. As February 1st is days away, and they just kicked off the project about 3 weeks ago, that is not something that we're going to be able to achieve. They believe they can have it done in April, that is the Pennsylvania Economy League. I was recommending that there be a deadline of July 1st, just to give them some margin. But if the board wishes to amend that, of course, you can do that on the fly. The second, by the way, that substantively will not change much. Obviously, we want to have it as soon as possible, but moving it out to April or May or something is not going to change really anything. Section 15B next suggests that the fire departments will be consolidated by the end of the year. I'm not asking for a change here. I'm just alerting to the fact that we may need to look at that section again in the future, depending on when we get the report from the state on recommendations for consolidation, and how long it takes to figure out what those consolidation efforts look like. And so I just raise it as a point of interest. Next, section 16C mandates that the two municipalities move to the same fiscal system, coincide their chart of accounts and so forth. That was supposed to have been done by January 1st. However, largely due to staffing needs, we did not hit that mark. So it still needs to happen, and it will happen, just out of necessity. But we suggested, after going back and forth with the attorney, that we just strike the paragraph, because it's kind of understood that we're going to be doing all of that. I mean, you have to have a chart of accounts, you have to have a fiscal system. We are moving towards consolidating them. So rather than put a specific timeline on it, we're just recommending striking the entire paragraph. So in your version, you'll see that section 16C just says reserved now, rather than specifying anything in particular. Section 17A is where we start to get into some of the conflict that's been on, not conflict, but the conversation that's been ongoing about the mayorship. So 2 meetings ago, Supervisor Malika brought up that it was the original intent, I believe, I'm quoting it correctly, that it was the original intent of the voters that the mayor be appointed by council, much like the township's chairman is. And that kicked off a longer conversation that made us really look at the consolidation agreement and that phraseology specifically. The current agreement, the current consolidation agreement, says that the mayor should be elected directly by the people. However, after extensive legal research, we have determined that that is outside of the law, and of course, your consolidation agreement cannot trump state law. And so I'm specifically talking within the Optional Plan Charter Act, so the Home Rule Charter and Optional Plan Act. We're looking at section 3056, which specifically says that the mayor will be elected directly, or sorry, it will not be direct, will not be, I'll just read it verbatim. At the organizational meeting, which happens the first Monday of January, the members of the municipal council shall assemble at the usual place of the meeting, organize and elect one of their number as mayor. The mayor shall be chosen by ballot by majority vote of the members of the municipal council. That's pretty clear. The reason that there was some debate particularly at the December meeting, I asked for time that you postpone this decision until tonight, is because there's another section that precedes it, section 2924, that says if a commission report, underline that, if a commission report adopts the council manager form of government, it may specify that the mayor or president of council or chairman be elected directly by the electors rather than by council. So what this is saying is the default is, like a township, the mayor or the chairperson, the president of council will be appointed by the council. But if a commission had recommended otherwise, that led to the consolidation or led to the optional charter, then you could have specified that, but that did not happen. And therefore, we go back to the default, which is the mayor shall be chosen by ballot by majority vote of all members of the municipal council. So it is, I believe, Attorney Santucci said, at least in my opinion, that your hands are tied. The agreement is not within compliance with the law. And as a consequence, we are recommending various changes in the wording to section 17A in order to comply with the law. Another section within that following provision is in section 3162B. This governs the terms of office. It says if 6 or more council members are elected, and you're going to have 7, the 5 candidates receiving the highest percentage of the votes cast for the office to which they are elected shall serve for terms of 4 years, and the remaining successful candidates receiving the next highest percentage of votes shall serve for terms of 2 years. So that means that according to this, the top 5 vote getters will serve 4-year terms, and the next 2 successful remaining candidates will serve 2-year terms. Accordingly, we've updated section 17 to reflect that as well. Finally, the last change is in section 17B. It similarly conflicts with the state law, whereby it says that the controller will be elected for a 2-year term. However, section 3162C says, if an elected municipal controller is in office at the time of the adoption of an optional plan under the provisions of this subpart, a controller shall not be elected or appointed to take office until after the resignation, death, removal, or expiration of the term of the incumbent in office. At the expiration of the term of the incumbent, a controller shall be elected or appointed for the full term with office as provided by the optional plan adopted. Therefore, that means that unless Mr. Volpe is no longer in office come a couple months from now, then he would remain in the position of controller even in the new city. He would be the only elected official that would go from the current city into the new city. You might wonder, by the way, why that isn't true of all of you. And the answer is that actually, if there was a 10-person board, some of you would have remained on in continuation. However, because we can't decide which 3 of you is coming off, as a consequence, you have to go through the election process, and that's why all of you are up for election, or all of the 7 positions will be up for election in a couple of months. Are there any questions about the recommendations? And I would ask for the board to approve the second amendment amended joint consolidation agreement.
I'll make that motion with one clarification. I'd like to see under the section 12C, instead of July 1st, be May 1st for the tax structure beforehand.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we're seconding, let me make sure I'm clear on this, the amendment to the motion.
The second amendment to the amendment.
Okay.
That's correct.
since this is already printed, we're gonna have to amend,
His verbal will be fine.
okay.
We will accurately.
He didn't amend my motion, he made a motion amendment. Different.
Been properly moved and seconded. Any additional discussion?
Yeah, I have to say, I'd like to see I'm kind of disappointed that there isn't an elected mayor. I think the people really deserve to vote for a mayor. That said, can't do anything about it.
Additional discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we need to set the pay for our elected officials and clarify benefits for elected officials. Is there anyone that would like to make a motion? I don't know where we want to start this out at, but we've heard all sorts of ranges. I don't think we should go over 4,000.
If I could say just one quick thing. You had asked at the last meeting that I've come to present what everyone currently makes. So these are the numbers. The township supervisors currently make $3,250 per year. Council members and the controller make $1,200 a year. And I don't remember what the treasurer is, but it was
26,000
I
and
think.
change.
Yes. And in this meeting, you're not going to set the controller. The controller will stay at the current salary of $1,200 for the next two, for 2025, 2026, and 27, yes, because he was just elected. And so.
Mayor makes 2,400.
Yes, and the mayor currently makes 2,400, that's right. I talked to legal counsel beforehand about whether or not it's possible for the board to set a different salary for the mayor, as that is the title of the council president. And the answer is probably. And so if you make it different for the mayor, then my request would merely be that the motion be something along the lines of a motion to set the elected, the salary of council members, and I would assume treasurer and controller based on previous conversations at X dollars. And to set the mayor's pay at X dollars or whatever, pending legal review. So that if the attorney finds that it is not possible to pay the mayor differently, then we would be able to walk it back. But again, I think we have precedents, council presidents and such do, and in other models, make a different amount of money. Any questions for me?
What are the benefits?
So there have been benefits offered in the past, including healthcare, pension contribution, and life insurance. And so we are asking for clarification, although I will go ahead and say that I assume that there would be no benefits for the elected officials going forward. But of course, that is completely your decision. And I just want it reflected in the minutes which way it is, even if it is none.
I make a motion that the salary be set at $2,400 for new council, and pending legal review, 1.5% for the mayor, with no benefits increase.
You mean 1.5 times?
Times, 1.5 times. Thank you for the correction.
For $3,600. With no benefits.
Did you want that to increase at any particular rate or not at all? Increase at 0% or with a COLA?
With an increase by COLA, I could add that.
We don't put treasurer in?
Yes, your motion currently reads council members and mayor. And so would you like to add, friendly amendment, would you like to add treasurer to that list?
I could do that.
Did I forget the treasurer? Yes, I would like to include the treasurer as well.
Got that? The same.
You want me to repeat that?
Yeah.
Make a motion to pay council members and treasurer $2,400 with a stipend to the mayor of 1.5%, 1.5 times, with no benefits
For anybody.
and the cost of living with the COLA. Thanks.
I'll second that.
Okay, properly moved and second. Is there any additional discussion?
I'd just like to point out that that's going to be a savings over what it's costing the city and Sandy Township now. Because there was a concern at the last meeting that we were spending more money instead of less.
No other comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Opposed.
Ben, do you also have a presentation on municipal election?
I did. There have been several questions at previous meetings, whether joint meetings or city meetings, about what the process is for the election. And so I created a little frequently asked questions sheet, which I wanted to run through briefly, and end with all of the important dates. Because since I last spoke about this, the Department of State did publish their calendar for the year. So first of all, will the treasurer be elected? The answer is yes. Because the current treasurer in the city's term expires at the end of the year, and the treasurer of the township is not elected. Therefore, the elected treasurer would have won out and continued on, except that the term expires. Therefore, it's on the ballot. And that's per section 3162C. Will the controller be elected? I already explained that, section 3162C as well. How many council positions will be on the ballot? Now that we have resolved this issue of whether the mayor is or is not independent, the answer is that there will be 7 council positions on the ballot for the fall general election. And briefly, so that means as many people as want can run on the 2 parties in the spring, and then as many people as can get their petitions in order and such in order to become an independent in the summer, could be on the ballot. But the primary is going to winnow that down to 7 and 7. What terms are in office? So I already mentioned this, that the top 5 vote-getters will be serving 4-year terms, and the next 2 will be serving 2-year terms. And then in 2 years, they will run for 4-year terms. I know it's uneven, but that is most definitely what the law explicitly says. And we've been asked what qualifications there are to run for city council, and they are thus. They have to be 18 years of old. They have to be elected by the electors at large. They have to have resided in the city for at least 12 months prior to the election, and by the city,
New city.
the new city boundaries, exactly, not the current city boundaries. They have to be registered to vote, and they cannot hold any of the following positions: county office, like an elected office, county level; school district officer that's located within the city boundaries, the new city boundaries, future city boundaries. They cannot be an officer of the city or a department head of the city. And they cannot be an officer of the United States or the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, with the exception of militia and notaries. What are the responsibilities of city council? City council members are responsible for attending council meetings, introducing bills, and making motions pertaining to legislative powers of the council. They play a critical role in shaping the legislative framework of the city. Because you've chosen a council manager form of government, that means that, first of all, the mayor, the future mayor would not be a strong mayor. They're essentially a chairman of the board, and the executive power will reside with the manager. And so the manager will carry out all the day-to-day, would have the power to hire, fire, move things around in the budget, all kinds of rather extensive power actually, unless it's curbed by ordinance. But then anything legislative like bills and ordinances and that sort of thing would be the manager's responsibility to create and then bring before council, and council has to make the decision. What do these positions pay? You just heard that. And then what is the election process? So in the coming weeks, I need to prepare a letter to the county elections office. This is another thing, several people have asked why we don't just have the county elections office come tell us what this is going to be and how this is going to run. And the answer is that they are going to be responsive to what we ask and to what our solicitor and the consolidation agreement say. They can't really tell us what's in the law. That would be a legal liability that the county will not take on. And so we can get information from them, but ultimately I need to be the one, Lisa or I, need to send a letter saying these are the positions open and the terms and whatnot. And then they will prepare and distribute petition packets in February. You can then circulate, so you'll get a packet from the elections department if you want to run for any of those positions, for treasurer or council. And you'll circulate those petitions and get at least 100 valid signatures of electors between the dates of February 18th and March 11th. And then those petitions will need to be turned back into the elections office at the courthouse. On March 19th, candidates will then draw lots to determine their ballot positions. So if there's more than two, they'll roll dice or have little balls or something like that you pick at random, literally casting lots, in order to determine your ballot position. And then May 20th is the primary election, and that will narrow the field from almost an infinite number of candidates down to 7 Democrats and 7 Republicans who will then face off in the fall. And again, it's also possible for independents during the summer to fill out petitions and get on the ballot as well. On November 4th is the general election, and that will determine the top 7 candidates who will then become the council members elect. And then on January 5th, they'll be sworn in during or around the organizational meeting, which of course will be the first Monday of January. Any questions?
There is a registration fee as well, right? A small registration fee to get
I believe there is like
$25.
Okay.
Yeah, for that.
I can get that exact number right.
That's what it used to be.
Yeah, I feel like it might be $100 actually. Now that you say that.
I thought it was 100.
I know it's 100 in Warren County, but I can't, and I assume it's state law, but either way, I'll get a definitive answer and put it in the memo. Thanks for the question.
Okay.
Any additional questions for Ben on the municipal election? 2025 strategic action plan.
So the staff are feeling like there's an infinite amount of work that could be done between now and consolidation. And so we are asking the board if you could help us prioritize what you think is absolutely critical that we get done in the next 12 months, and to some extent then what maybe could wait until after, because we have limited resources. We can only take so much change at once for one. We have only so much staff time, and on top of that, we have several vacant positions, and so time and money are really at a premium. And so what we're wondering is if informally, like in an informal work session kind of feel right now, you could offer to us what you think are the most important things to work on, the critical deadlines that have to be hit in the next year. Maybe including, but maybe beyond just the obligatory stuff that's on, in the consolidation agreement. And if it pleases the chair, we might open it up to the public at the end as well to offer their thoughts on what, the staff should be doing over the next 12 months to get ready for consolidation. So at this time, I think I would just ask that you throw out ideas, I'll record them, and then perhaps we can try to rank order them and bring them back to the board at some other meeting to officially kind of ratify the list.
Well, hired an engineer in HR and somebody for public works.
Yes. Filling vacant positions.
Yeah, that's gotta be a priority one.
And hopefully we might be able to look into a manager.
I think Bill had a good point that we need to know the tax structure. And I think that should be like the number one priority. So everybody, not only in this room, then new municipality knows exactly where we stand financially.
Fire department consolidation, police consolidation, staff,
Pensions.
unions.
Water and sewer rates.
It's not easy.
I think that's enough work already.
What else do you want?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, you wanna let them to January?
The end of January.
Okay. Obviously, there's the ongoing construction.
Yeah,
project as well.
Yeah, we don't have much to do with that.
Is there,
Stay out of the way.
is there anyone in the audience that would like to give input on what you think your priorities for the 2025 should be? We have another meeting third Wednesday, which I believe would be January 15th. We can ask the same question again, give you time to give thought to that.
What about a long-term plan for the city?
The long-term comp plan,
Mm-hmm.
it's a good one. Related to that, so there's the 5 to 10 year comprehensive plan. We might also take a whack at trying to put them into annual strategic action plans. So the further out, the more amorphous it's gonna get, but like 2026, we probably have a pretty good idea of what it's gonna be.
We need to make a lot of the tough decisions now, so the new government, they're gonna have enough to do as it is. We should make all the tough decisions so they don't have to. We'll take the lumps.
Related to not just the operational budget, but I know that in the past we've talked about capital improvement plans, like having an annual capital plan as well as a longer term improvement plan so that you can start saving towards some of your bigger capital items.
We definitely need to start saving, especially in the city.
I do not think we're gonna have any capital improvements in 26.
Maybe vehicles or something.
Well,
Yeah, you're gonna have equipment, you're gonna need equipment for public works and things, but nothing major.
with $5 million for a new building, cost overruns, I'm sure our budget would be stretched thin.
Yes.
Still think we need to look at economic development too. We have opportunities.
Yeah, we have 600 acres at Prime.
We should do it.
These letters.
An economic development plan as part of a comp plan. We're not gonna be able to do a comp plan in the next year. It's like a 2-year process and you're gonna want to use some of your stamp money to pay for that, so that'd be a next phase. However, maybe we could get a jump on doing the components of it, like a rec plan, an economic development plan, community development plan, that kind of thing, and then grow that towards your comp plan, which just makes reference to those. So that would be a good strategy that would stretch your dollar.
You know, start thinking about the future.
One thing that I would like to, I'm not trying to take on work, but I just would ask if you would think it's a priority, is that, in many of the communities we worked with, we found that there's a level of coordination with the nonprofit and government entities that's helpful. Essentially bringing them together so that they understand what each other does. And some of the big institutions are obvious, right? It's obvious what the hospital does. To some degree, it's obvious what you do. There are many other smaller nonprofit organizations that kind of maybe fill social needs here and there. And so it might be helpful to identify as leading up again to the comprehensive plan. To identify what those gaps might be, so that we can see if there's a non-government entity that wants to step up and fill that gap, or if there's a program that needs to be developed by the local government, which may or may not be you. It could be the county, it could be, anyway. Do you think that that would be a good use of?
Is that something like with Christy Martone from DCED, where her NAP or any of
In
those?
that program? Oh, so for the funding of the program, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
but with any other organizations, you know, collaborating with them or with the chamber, we really don't have that sort of feature now.
Yes, it would, the upshot would be programs like that, yes.
Yeah, I think to enhance economic development, I think that's something that we would really need to look at, especially the tax credit incentive with that,
That's the 90% tax credit?
depending on
Yeah,
what you
depending
want.
on what it's given for. I think that's very important. I went to a meeting with Clearfield County redevelopment, asked them about that. They were gonna get back to us, see if they could sponsor that. We need to continue to fight blight, improve the city.
That could also be a component that leads up to the comp plan, would be a potentially update to the saldo zoning, but yeah, you're gonna be rewriting it anyway, so now would be a good time to do that.
I think one of the things also is, we keep an eye on the economics of the various baseball, softball tournaments that come into our city, and keeping an eye on the amount of funds that are funneled through these programs.
I would like to see the cost of those fields.
Oh, yeah.
We specifically cut those out and individualize those in the budget so we could keep track, so we would know what we spent this year on the fields. And
Talking maintenance costs?
yeah, they don't need to make money, but boy, they to bleed money. It's very,
Also-
very, very expensive.
So that'll
We need
also
to get a handle on that and find a way to charge for admission to at least try to break even. I mean, it does benefit the city. I feel it benefits a small minority of businesses and a small minority of citizens. And so it needs to not be so expensive that all citizens have to pay for it. It shouldn't be a burden.
One thing that was brought up in the last public meeting had to do with the codification of your ordinances, the future ordinances. The agreement says that that will be done within 2 years of consolidation, so we have almost 3 years according to the current agreement. That said, it sounds like a lot of work has been done towards that already, and so
We were
maybe,
on that committee.
so maybe it doesn't take 3 years, maybe,
We were on it.
I don't know that it can be this year, but maybe it won't take 3 years.
Well, I would say the Consolidation Committee, Zach was on that committee, has done a lot of work, and they didn't want to stop. I'm not sure why we stopped. they might have been well on their way to getting all that done. They wanted to print some books, and talk to some people that run the committee.
We were just when we wanted to tackle the zoning and combine, work on combining the zoning. And we needed some maps made and some professional work done. And that was an expense that they didn't want us to undertake. So that's why it kind of got put on hold. And that's kind of still where we're holding that with that.
But I'm sure that committee would love to tackle that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why we're waiting
And
3
we
years.
were really ready with all the ordinances, we had those all broke down, we just needed an attorney to write them. We were down to getting the money for the attorney to write what we have done.
So maybe we ask, the DCED if we could do another phase in some upcoming quarter for a stamp to pay for that.
Yeah, I don't know why they like this.
I thought North Central got some money to help with the ordinance stuff too. I thought I remember Sean saying that.
Okay. I can look
That
at
North Central had money available to do the recodification also.
You'll look into that.
And there's no reason to wait if they're willing to do it.
I think the groundwork's done,
Just money, right?
yeah, just money,
You're gonna spend it sooner or later.
yeah, you have to do it.
We will, and so if we can get a grant to pay for it, I mean, it's,
If we want a grant.
And you have all those great volunteers that really
they're motivated right
are
now.
highly motivated.
That's another thing, you mentioned grants, about obtaining grants, what grants are out there, what's available. It's a good, way of knowing what is out there that could possibly benefit the city. How we go about, writing in grants and obtaining them.
I'll raise another, which is that the job descriptions, or the lack thereof, need to be updated along with human resources policies, and maybe even SOPs across the board. Some of that is urgent, and some of it probably could wait, but I think that's something that needs to be on our radar.
HR person do that?
HR is already gonna, yeah, we haven't even identified who it's gonna be, and I've got a long list of twos.
Maybe two.
That's got, once they settle into the position,
At least the maintenance of it would for sure be their job, yes.
anything else?
Do we get stamp money for, police uniforms, new decals, signage, et cetera?
Not stamp.
I think I remember being told that.
DCED said that there was funding available, I don't think it was through stamp.
That's more likely the, is that USDA program?
You're correct, Mark. It is, yes, not stamp.
Yeah, I think it's a USDA,
Chris, didn't you guys look into that as well?
Yeah, there was supposed to be, funding available, and I thought it was from DCED
Yes.
for uniforms, badges, patches, vehicle graphics, any equipment that we might have to
interesting, okay.
switch over.
I believe you are correct. I recall that as well.
So maybe that's a follow-up with Terry.
Nice list. Takes about 10 years to do.
You have a few things yet, or you need more?
Well, again, what's the most, well, I mean, I would almost rather hear everything.
No.
So we can rank order it, but no, if you don't, I guess this isn't the end of the conversation, right? But at some point, I would like to prioritize so that in part, we don't get to November or December and not have met an expectation that wasn't clear. To some degree, going back to like my, project management, like PMP kind of style, we want a sort of agreement between us that says, in the next 12 months, we think we can accomplish A, B, C, and D, and if we can get to, E and F, great, but, not, you wouldn't hold us to it or be disappointed in us if we didn't meet that. So we just don't we don't want to be completely overloaded on the staff side, and we also want to meet the expectations. So if early on, we can identify that there's more work that you feel absolutely needs to be done in the next 12 months than we believe is possible, we're gonna come back and say, well, we need more resources somehow. I don't know if that means applying for another grant, you know, shifting money, hiring more, like, I don't know what it would be, but that's what we wanna, kind of solidify, with the board in the near future, is essentially what's our action plan? What are our marching orders for next year?
I actually like to see it in the next couple of months, just keep the hammer down on PEL to get the tax structure. That's gonna drive a lot of this, what everybody's bringing up, because that's a big decision.
It all takes money.
Yep. That's our building foundation right there. The sooner we get that, the more we can move on for the future.
If there's nothing else, again, I'll remind the floor that Wednesday night, the 15th, if you guys have anything you'd like to add to this before we finalize our list, bring your concerns. In closing, I'll ask for public comment.
Question, with Ben's explanation on the election and the 7th, do we know yet, will you be voting for one person only, or like in some congressional and different elections, you know, vote for 2 of the 4, any 2? Will you vote initially for 1 or 2 or 3, or do we have that idea yet? When we as the voters are picking,
You probably vote for 7, we vote for 7.
does everyone vote for 7, for 1, for, you know?
So in the primary, I believe you only get your registered party's ballot.
But you get to vote for every, you know, 7 people on that ballot, 1 person on that ballot?
We understand your question, I think we're scratching our heads.
Yeah, I'm not sure we have the answer to that.
It should be 7.
I think it's 7.
It's a whole new council.
Yeah.
So 7 Republicans, if 7 run, if only 4 run, it's only 4, and 7 Democrats.
I know
You
before,
can have 7 Republicans with or 7 Democrats.
Yes, yes.
I know before whenever.
Well, I was just kinda
But
curious.
then you only vote for
Yeah.
3 in the top.
There's 2 positions.
Well, I mean, you know, how many do you get to vote for out of the selection is kind of,
So it's however many positions are
Do we,
open.
do we say that, or does the county tell us that?
The law.
The law will tell us that.
and if this is, maybe this is inappropriate then, but of the members up there now, how many of you intend to run for the next council? If that's inappropriate, then don't answer it.
I do.
If you haven't decided, that's
I
fine.
haven't decided yet.
Haven't decided.
I'm running.
Mark,
I am running.
it is,
I'm running. Undecided. Undecided.
I'm running.
Jen?
No.
Okay, I'm just kinda curious because, I'm from Sandy Township and I think probably a lot of people think Sandy, you know, we're not voting by virtue of wards and stuff like that, so nobody from Sandy Township wants an overrepresentation of the city, nobody from the city wants an overrepresentation of the outside township, nobody from the city wants an overrepresentation of Treasure Lake. I mean, there's probably no way to stop that other than qualified people running, but I just wanted to know. That's all.
Can you go back and clarify the treasurer? How much does the treasurer make now, and what was the proposed amount for the treasurer?
The Du Bois treasurer,
Yeah,
make 26,000 and change, I'm not sure the, 26,000 something.
okay, so for the new city, is that what,
No, $2,400,
$2,400.
$2,400, no, not gonna, it's going to go from 26,000 to 2,400,
wow,
yes.
okay, all right then. I just wanted to comment, I really liked the conversation that was happening between the interim managers and council. I don't know if I've ever seen that I used to go to council 20 years ago, and I don't know if I've ever seen dialogue like that, so kudos to you guys. I do wanna add, you asked for some input, and I just wanted to hold off. I would really like to see when you do things with blight, our local RDA needs to be involved, our redevelopment authority. I think that's essential, that they and you as the new city work together. And I think the other thing that I think that is an absolute priority is going back to what Mr. Beer said, is the financial aspect of things. I have to tell you, and I've said it numerous times, Dina is here with me. Sorry to put her on the spot, but as spouses of employees whose pension we have no idea about, okay, for 2 years I've been hearing about how horrible things are, and no one, like, is my husband going to get what was promised to him? I mean, I know Dina's husband's a little bit older than my husband. I mean, we, for years, have been doing financial planning based on a certain amount. And it's very frustrating to hear about how bad things are at the city, but we're not hearing the details and what, what's gonna happen. I mean, it really is frustrating, on the pension aspect of things. I would like to know, I have no doubt that we are borrowing more money from water and sewer than to cover our expenses, and I think we need to hear that. Are we borrowing to make payroll? We have to hear those things, so that's.
I do know that we didn't use any of the water money until we needed it to pay the MMO for the pensions. And we made the minimum, it was 930,000, 960,000, or 80,000, over 900,000, almost $1 million. That payment was made on time. We did use water money to pay for it.
Water or sewer?
Water. Am I correct?
It came from both.
Came from both,
For this year.
Well, we used sewer right along,
Yeah.
but I don't think we used any water till the end.
Till the end. Oh,
Till the
sorry.
end. Okay, so we had better plans.
I'd like to see that.
But we
plan
did make the
out of
payment.
there.
We plan on making that payment.
That should be separate.
And we plan on continuing to make those payments because I feel the employees earn that money, deserve that money, and will get that money. That's,
Yeah, I don't think any of the employees need to worry, because I think we'd cut other things before and I don't think legally we could cut out their pension. We make sure that their pension is funded and that they'll get their money, because that's what they're owed.
I mean, the pension was changed. It is gonna cost us a lot of money because of that change, but we're making those payments.
You've recently hired CS McKee to manage your pension. It might be advantageous for them to do their first quarterly update. They took over mid-year, or, I don't know, early November, or maybe it just took effect, I'm not sure. Either way, it's common to have them come and give a report on the status of the investment, so they could give us quick stats. Are you 98% funded? What kind of rates you got? Are you upside down or not? Those are all things that they would be able to rattle off in a nice little presentation, so we could ask them to come do that.
We're due for a new, this is our second year, so we're due for a actuary report.
Okay.
For this year, so they should give us that.
But shouldn't we get something on both sides? Because they're a little bit different pensions.
Oh,
We should show that as one, not as just apples and sour grapes. We need to show it as one.
right. So I know special presentation this month will be on the bond. What if we shot for a special presentation on the pensions, and we should have a lot of the things ironed out in February, so perhaps March would be a good time.
Yeah, I would check with the pension company, see when they're gonna give us that actuary report.
Yeah.
That would be good to have in that report. We had 2 good years in the stock market, that should help too. That will show on the new actuary report. And that should be, we should be able to make that public.
Oh, yeah, it is helpful.
Okay.
Any other comments from the floor? Board member comments. Jen, let's start at your end.
I think this was a great kickoff, honestly, to the new year. We've got a lot accomplished and a lot discussed and a lot to get done, but I think there's the right team in place and a lot of good people doing the work, and I think it's gonna be a good year for all of us.
Barry?
I'd like to thank Ben and Lisa. They just worked their tails off for us. We just come out with a great presentation from them. And like Jen said, I think we're headed in the right direction. We had an excellent give and take conversation here tonight with some great ideas. And I just think we keep moving forward. Consolidation is coming faster and faster.
Gonna sneak up on us.
Yes, it is.
What's next down there? Is it Elliot?
It's definitely gonna be an exciting year. I think in this year, eyes are gonna be on this area for good. There aren't many consolidations like this going on in this state, let alone the country. So people are looking at us as a model, and I think we can show them the right way to do things, and I think it's gonna be a big positive for this area and a lot of other areas as well. So I'm excited to be a part of it and excited to see what we can do this year to head into 26 as the new city of Du Bois. So happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah, thank you to all the township and city employees for the work that they're doing. I know it's a lot right now, inside and outside. One's outside in the weather, and those in the offices that have a lot on their plates right now. I find it maybe a little frustrating that for this cycle, the mayor position isn't necessarily elected, but I think that's something that can be adjusted in the future for future cycles. Just looking forward to a good year.
Looking forward to a good year, and I appreciate our management team. Just like you do.
Tough year, but we got through it. Budget was pretty tight. We ended up actually saving, a lot of money on everything. Some salaries, some cuts here and there. I'm looking forward to the tax report. It'll show us what to charge for water, what to charge for sewer, what the tax rate will need. And I really don't like taking all the money out of the water and the sewer, but we've been doing it for 20 years. And just to cut that off all at once, services would suffer a lot. So, but over time, I'd like to see not using any of that for general fund. If they had done that for 20 years, we might have had $40 or $50 million to build the sewage treatment plant. We wouldn't have to borrow $90 million to do it. Even 90 million is hard to say. But I'd like to see, us staying within our means and not going outside and not borrowing any money and starting to save for capital improvements going forward.
To the other end, Bill?
I think it's gonna be a very good year, but it's gonna be a tough year. And I'm just asking my fellow council members to vote facts and not by their heart or by their affiliation with people, because we've got a lot of tough decisions to make this year. And I wanna see the tax structure sooner than later, because we gotta show our people that we are buckling down and giving them a good product at a good rate. And we gotta get away from, I know where Pat's coming from, they've done it for 20 years, but this is a new municipality. This is a new city. We gotta start fresh. If you leave that crutch there, that door stays open forever. So, let's have a good year.
I kind of agree with everything that's been said so far, just to add a little bit to that, just that, moving the city forward, what does that look like? The improvements, whether it be capital or just other things to draw people, because if you look at economic development, you have to have things that people want to get businesses in here. So I think that's part of that plan, and some of the things that in the comprehensive plan, I guess, would be part of that, to do things to attract businesses to come into our area so we can have continued growth and support for our great city, our great new city. That's all I have.
Sam?
Yeah, I'm excited that we're finally turning the corner to get the consolidation done, and it's been a long process, and, sometimes I look back and I sort of regret that, what's happened, you know, people left their jobs and, people have been unsure of what's gonna happen, and I never realized it was gonna take this long. I thought it would be something, we'd be done with it in 2023.
You started it all, didn't you, Sam? Thanks.
Well, I thought it'd be done by now. I think, part of the problem is because it's dragged on so long, it's sort of just, new problems came up, because of that, but, it's gonna all end 2026, so we'll be on our way. And I enjoy working with the new team, and I'm very happy with all their advice and how they've, come in and haven't been afraid to change things, and I've seen that change is good, so, let's keep the ball rolling as we go through the year.
Scotty?
And I just want to give a shout out to the township crews and the city crews. There's been a lot done in the past week, and we've got another good stretch of cold weather coming with no snow blanket on the ground, so there will be issues.
Dig up those frozen water
No, broken water lines, not frozen water. That's a whole nother scenario.
I wanna steal from Sam's, line there, keep the ball rolling. I think we're all on, the right track. I love a give and take, everyone with the new management team. We're definitely going down the right road. I'd also like to give recognition to the new Du Bois City Fire Chief. Chief Kelsey's with us here tonight. I believe you'll be serving as chief for the rest of this year.
For 2025.
2025. So congratulations.
Still married?
So far, only been up to the sixth. Yeah, stepping back up again, being chief twice, that's all. Like,
Easy job so far.
so far, so good.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Your water crew just finished their second water leak for the day.
Just say thank you for the.
Yep.
I would say from overtime.
I went from like